Hey, what's up guys? Steve here. And after covering the 1991-92 Hoops basketball set a few weeks back, today's video will cover the Team USA basketball cards that were included at the end of Series 2. And we get a Hall of Famer to kick things off at number 15 with this Mitch Richmond, card number 573. There was a total of 32 cards included in the Team USA subset, but I was surprised to find that there wasn't any sales data for more than half of them. To make an even top 15 list, I included this one. With only one PSA 10 sale found, the record sale of this card comes back in March of this year, selling for $21.61. PSA has graded this card only 4 times, and a PSA 10 is a pop of 3. Up next at number 14 is this David Robinson, card number 583. An ungraded copy of this card will set you back a couple bucks on eBay. The average sale price of a PSA 9 is only $11.74, compared to a PSA 10 average sale price of $49.25. And the record sale of this card comes back in March of 2021, selling for $97.88. Graded just under 200 times by PSA, this David Robinson is a pop of 66 in a PSA 10 and 81 in a PSA 9. The mailman makes today's list at number 13 with this Karl Malone, card number 580. You can pick up a raw copy of this card on eBay for a couple bucks. A PSA 9 sells for around $15 on average, while a PSA 10 sells for roughly $35 on average. And the record sale of this card comes back in April of 2021, selling for $100 even. Graded 157 times, this Karl Malone is a pop of 85 in a PSA 10 and 56 in a PSA 9. We get our first Team USA coach card at number 12 with card number 587. Most of the raw sales on eBay I was finding range between $1 and $3. The last PSA 9 of this card sold for $26 back in May of last year, and prior to the record PSA 10 sale, the last PSA 10 sold for only $8.99 as a buy it now back in June of 2020. And the record sale of this card comes back in June of 2021, selling for $102.50. Graded only 54 times by PSA, this card is a pop of 30 in a PSA 10 and 17 in a PSA 9. Coming in at number 11 is this Chris Mullin, card number 581. Another card from the subset you can pick up for a couple bucks on eBay. A PSA 9 will set you back around $20, while the current average sale price of a PSA 10 is $69.80. And the record sale of this card comes back in February of this year, selling for $112.50. Graded 94 times, this card is a pop of 28 in a PSA 10 and 39 in a PSA 9. Kicking off the top 10 of today's list is this Charles Barkley, card number 575. With the same raw sale prices as many cards on this list, a PSA 9 currently sells for around $15 on average, while a PSA 10 will set you back roughly $65. And the record sale of this card comes back in March of 2021, selling for $134.79. Graded close to 200 times, this Charles Barkley is a pop of 65 in a PSA 10 and 69 in a PSA 9. We get our second coach card at number 9 with this Chuck Daly, card number 585. While you can pick up a raw copy of this card for a couple bucks on eBay, I was unable to find any prior sales of a PSA 9. The average sale price of a PSA 10 comes in at $122.12, and the record sale of this card comes back in December of 2021, selling for $138.50. Graded only 44 times by PSA, this card is a pop of 20 in a PSA 10 and 14 in a PSA 9. Up next at number 8 is this Patrick Ewing, card number 577. Raw sales on eBay range between $1 and $3. The average sale price of a PSA 9 is around $13, while a PSA 10 sells for $36.19 on average. And the record sale of this card comes back in March of 2021, selling for $145.38. Graded 150 times, this card is a pop of 79 in a PSA 10 and 63 in a PSA 9. Coming in at number 7 is this John Stockton, card number 584. You could pick up an ungraded copy of this card for less than $2 on eBay. A PSA 9 sells for around $15, while a PSA 10 will currently set you back around $68 on average. And the record sale of this card comes back in April of last year, selling for $149.49. Graded 132 times by PSA, this John Stockton is a pop of 72 in a PSA 10 and 46 in a PSA 9. Up next at number 6 is this Scottie Pippen, card number 582. Most of the ungraded sales on eBay I was finding were for about $1. A PSA 9 of this card will set you back around $12, while a PSA 10 sells for $94.03 on average. And the record sale of this card comes back in January of this year, selling for $154.19. Graded 223 times by PSA, this card is a pop of 59 in a PSA 10, compared to 103 in a PSA 9. We get another Coach card to kick off the top 5 with card number 588. With the same price as many ungraded cards on today's list, a PSA 9 of this card sells for roughly $56 on average, while a PSA 10 currently sells for $135.86 on average. And the record sale of this card comes back in March of this year, selling for $186.39. Graded 181 times by PSA, this card is a pop of 125 in a PSA 10, compared to 45 in a PSA 9. Up next at number 4 is this Larry Bird, card number 576. I was surprised to see you could pick up this card on eBay for less than $1. A PSA 9 will set you back around $20, while a PSA 10 sells for around $60 on average. And the record sale of this card comes back in March of 2021, selling for $204.38. Graded over 400 times by PSA, this Larry Bird is a pop of 220 in a PSA 10 and 153 in a PSA 9. Coming in at number 3 is this Magic Johnson, card number 578. Taking a quick look at raw sale comps, a PSA 9 of this card sells for $11.12 on average, compared to a PSA 10 average sale price of $43.21. And the record sale of this card comes back in March of last year, selling for $231.34. Graded just over 500 times by PSA, this card is a pop of 232 in a PSA 10 and 194 in a PSA 9. Up next at number 2 is this Lenny Wilkens, card number 579. You can pick up an ungraded copy of this card for less than $2 on eBay. I had to go all the way back to April of 2018 to find the last PSA 9 comp that sold for only $9. The average sale price of a PSA 10 is currently $190.91, and the record sale of this card happened back in March of this year, selling for $255.69. Graded 44 times, this card is a pop of 23 in a PSA 10 and 16 in a PSA 9. With the smaller population report and PSA 10s not hitting the open market very often, I would have to guess a couple of set builders looking for this card may have drove up the price. And topping off today's list at number 1 is this Michael Jordan, card number 579. Raw sales on eBay range between $2 and $5. The average sale price of a PSA 9 is $21.40, while a PSA 10 of this Jordan sells for $110.74 on average. It's safe to say this Jordan has been graded more than every card on today's list combined, as the PSA population reports are showing 3,429 copies being graded, including a pop of 1,172 in a PSA 10 and 1,474 in a PSA 9. And the record sale of this card comes back in February of 2021, selling for $504 even. Thanks for joining me today, guys, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.